Clause 6, as we just heard, includes the powers to merge funds. It's a slim clause, so I'll be briefer than you might expect. But I would like to ask the Minister, what are the circumstances these powers would be used? And to what end would the Minister require the compulsory merger of funds? On Monday, when we debated the earlier groups, I pointed out that the country's smallest fund, the Orkney Fund, has the best performance of all the funds in the LGPS, and I think there are lessons to be learned from that. And furthermore, it has never changed its investment manager. So what would happen, I ask, if the two funds happened to be in different asset pools? What steps would be taken to indemnify the losing and the gaining members and taxpayers for the quite exceptional transition costs in these circumstances? Because you'd be ramming some schemes together, having split them asunder beforehand. Now, in another bill before your Lordship's House, we will shortly contemplate local government reorganisation. And I've done a bit of work on this, and I can certainly contemplate that mergers of councils across county boundaries could be contemplated. Look, with Wiltshire already unitised, it's not unthinkable for Swindon to be placed either in Oxfordshire or perhaps in Berkshire. So paradoxically, the efficiencies from merging councils under LGR may result in the demerging of pension funds to different pools. And what discussions have been had and what contingencies have been placed as ministers start to take decisions on local government reorganisation? But back to scheme mergers, can the Minister tell us whether similar criteria have been published as have been with LGR, and so how we would consider comparing the relative merits of different proposals for schemes merged? Because having announced that schemes are candidates for merger, it's not unthinkable that several competing bids may come forward. We want this particular scheme, or rather we don't want that particular scheme for all sorts of reasons. What criteria might be published so that on an evidential and neutral basis the decisions can be justified? Are we going to consider population size, assets under management, the number of members, the cost per member, geography? And I think that's important, because in the earlier parts of this bill, a scheme may only be a member of a single pool, and those pools have become geographically focused, because there are provisions, if this bill is enacted, for the schemes to connive with their local strategic authorities. So you can see straight away there could be a mismatch between the host strategic authority and its pool, which may not be local. Look, this is a small clause, but with big consequences. Following a merger, how might decisions be taken as to which successor authority would be the administrating authority? And then that begs the LGR question of which authority will assume the pension administration if all the councils in that territory have been abolished? And how would we ensure that there was in place appropriate governance structures so that all parts of the disaggregated territory were appropriately represented? Now, we see this in local government at parish council level, where two parishes come together, so that not all the members of this community council come from one parish and none of the other. There's a process of warding, so that the representatives on the board must be distributed from amongst the previous constituent authorities. What steps might be taken in that case? Look, I don't think this clause has been thought through at all. And if I think of the Norfolk scheme for a moment, of which I have been a member since, a board member since 2007, we have over 100,000 members. And I'm sure those would all want to know who's going to be sending their P60s, helping with IHT valuations and answering questions. Now, I've previously complained about the length of this bill, but this shortest of clauses, we have the biggest impact. It will directly impact up to 6.7 workers in our nation. So I support my noble friends, because without the detail I've asked for, as well as Lord Giles and other members who have spoken, Clause 6 is inadequate. and cannot and should not stand part of the bill as currently constructed.